guys, it's Ronnie. Ooh, I just realized do I sound really echoey? I think I sound echoey. The reason why I sound echoey is that for this month's podcast, I decided to record it in my new office, which has no furniture in it. Let me show you what it will look like. Look, how awesome is that? I know some of you can't see it, but I did a little like blueprint, and actually I'm like really geeky. I'm that person who like does blueprints of her office. But anyway, this used to be my dining room, and we have removed all the furniture, and I got tired of it just being a dumping ground for things and not being utilized and only being eaten in once or twice a year, and me trying to figure out where my office space is in the house. Either I'm in the guest room, or I'm in the kitchen, or I'm on the couch. And my husband has a great office. Like, it's like behind that wall right there. He's got his own little space. And I'm like, you know what? I want my own space. So I'm taking over the dining room. So that's what I'm doing. And so hopefully my goal, my plan is that by May's podcast, I have lots of changes going on. I want this office at least partially furnished. I can't afford to furnish the whole thing, but at least a desk and a chair. And I'm going to try to figure out if I can record my podcast in here. And I'm considering doing a live Ask Ronnie's. I have recently, if you guys keep tabs on Greenlight Bites, I've recently kind of experimented with a live cooking show concept using Spreecast, which is really cool. It's kind of like live YouTube with the chat stream, and then the archives are saved as videos and you can go watch them. I'm still working out some of the kinks, but this would allow me to kind of schedule the monthly Ask Ronnie. You know, people who can come and participate live could. We can have a chat going on simultaneously amongst people who are viewing, plus people can comment, and I can share their comments right on the video stream. It would be really cool. So it would be like our little own Ask Ronnie show. I'm excited about it. I think I might give it a try in May if I can figure out a little bit of logistics. I don't want to lose my podcast feed, which means I have to figure out a way to strip the audio out of the final product. So that way people who listen on their iPods or through iTunes can still get it that way. So that's on my to-do this month. I have to actually start answering some questions because I only have a half hour. I may record a little bit now and then come back and record a little bit later. Can you believe I literally couldn't carve out an hour today to record, which is really, really sad. But I have some questions. Let me get to the questions. I had one more announcement though, and I can't remember what it is right now. Wait, while I'm clicking, I'm going to be thinking. Let me think. There was the new office, the possible new format. I don't know. It must have been a lie. That's what my mom would say when I can't remember what I was going to say. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get to a few questions. I'm going to try to do as many as I can. I might start talking really fast because I feel under pressure. So I'll slow myself down a little bit. The first question that I have here is from Tina. And Tina... by the way, I just realized I should start the people who leave a website. Not a lot of people who leave Ask Ronnie questions actually leave a website, but Tina did, and she blogs at littlevj.com. And her question is, "Hi Ronnie, love the blog and the honesty and reality you commit. Reality. I'm making sure I'm reading right. You commit to each day when you share your stories. As a mom of two myself, it's really quite great to read about another mom trying to do what's best for her and her family. My question is, what blogs do you follow for inspiration, ideas on health, weight loss, and food? Thanks, Tina." All right. I love this question. The blog, how do I want to say it? Like, not climate, I don't know, environment has changed so much, I think, over the last, 5-7 years. At least that's as long as I've been doing it. I know people have been blogging a little bit longer, but landscape, that's what I was looking for. The blog landscape has changed. And I think I used to follow blogs differently. I used to have an RSS reader and I would subscribe, and frankly, I became, like, my RSS reader made me feel bad about myself. because was following all these blogs, and then I would log into the RSS reader or look at the RSS feed, and then I would realize that I had like 18,000 unread, and then I felt like anxious, like, oh my gosh, I have to catch up, and it really wasn't good for me mentally. So I pulled back from subscribing to blogs, and I took a much more laissez-faire approach to keeping up with people. And that was around the time that Twitter was blowing up. So most people, I feel like bloggers are my peers on Twitter. Most people on Twitter anyway. I mean, this is only my weird philosophy. You guys might not agree. And so I find and follow a lot of blog posts that I find inspirational or informative or useful or a nice recipe. I'm usually pulling things out of the Twitter feed, and I kind of a couple times a day, I kind of just look at Twitter and see what's coming up and go, oh, that looks interesting. Oh, that looks interesting. And so the people I'm following on Twitter almost guide what it is that I'm reading. That being said, I subscribe via email to a few sites. I do read Snack Girl a lot. A lot of them are food-based, more than weight loss-based, which I guess kind of makes sense. But Snack Girl, I read a lot. Skinny Taste, I always look forward to getting her humongous recipe photo in my inbox almost every day, which is great. She inspires me a lot for Greenlight Bites. I read Carla and I became, if you guys know Misfit, I read Misfit again, but usually it's when I see her promote her stuff on Twitter that I'll hop over to her site. And Misfit and I have become really good friends, and actually we are probably going to be embarking on some really cool projects, which I hope to be announcing in the future. We're hoping to write a book together, which I'm really excited, and to possibly do a Spreecast show together too. So lots of stuff there. So I do read her and keep up with her. I do also have like a lot of blogs that aren't in our niche that actually in a weird way inspire and motivate me. I don't know if you guys read Seth Godin, but he writes more in like the business marketing niche. But a lot of his stuff, I relate almost to my life more than I do. I mean, I'm not in that business. I guess I am kind of with what I do, but so I subscribe to him via email, ProBlogger, Copyblogger. So it's kind of like the people who blog about blogging. I follow them a lot. I guess that's really it. I mean, it's weird. I mean, frankly, and this kind of sounds a little snotty for me, I find that sometimes I'm too preoccupied creating all the content for my own sites that I don't have as much time as I used to keep up with blogs. When I first started, I was really active on message boards, and that was really how I kept in touch with people online and how I communicated most. And then, I mean, I don't even know if anyone uses message boards as much as they used to. But that's a really good question. I'll list, you know what, I used to keep like a blog, list of blogs that I read on my sidebar, and that kind of, there's so many of us now that you can't keep up, and then I find that I get overwhelmed, and then I kind of pull back instead of following more and more people. There's a point where you just get saturated and you can't keep up. So, but I'll kind of put a list underneath of people that I read on a semi-regular basis or keep up with on Twitter. I have more conversations with people on Twitter than I do read their blogs, to be honest. It's just kind of the nature of the way, and everybody has their own style, I think. Okay, I'm going to move on because I'm about 10 minutes in, and my doorbell might ring. I'm just going to warn you. I'm going to warn you because my doorbell might ring because I have a friend who's giving me his spiel about awnings because he got a new job selling awnings, and I kind of need an awning, so I told him he can practice on me, and then maybe I can get an awning. So he's going to be coming in like 20 minutes, and that's why I don't have a full hour in this afternoon while Evan is napping. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry, I'm very chatty. All right, next question's from Wendy. And see, Wendy doesn't have a website, so I can't give you her website. Wendy says, congrats on your success. You are such an inspiration. I would like to know what your diet was throughout the day and how you prepared your meals for busy weeks. Thanks. Okay. This question sounds familiar. I don't think I answered it last week, but I think I answered something similar last week. It's kind of hard for me to give you specifics on my diet throughout the day. Like I always say this, I can go back and look in my journal, but I can more give you like I can more frame my train of thought into how I approach food while I was losing versus before I was losing. And the preparing meals things, I've talked about this a few times, but I'll kind of try to summarize. Okay, so I went from a very, I guess, very typical diet of eating like 2 really large meals a day and snacking whenever the heck I wanted, which is why I was overweight. And then my diet changed drastically. I started eating a much smaller meals, more scattered throughout the day. And when I was working full-time, which is when I was losing, I would pack like a bunch of snacks and bring them to work with me and just eat anytime I got hungry. And it sounds almost counterproductive, like you would think you're eating all the time. But it was different. It was, I got hungry, I had a yogurt. An hour later, I got hungry, so I had an apple. An hour later, I got hungry, so I had a handful of nuts. An hour, you know what I mean? And then, so really, I became a grazer. And that's really helped me. I mean, I still have meals, and you know, if I have a bigger meal, I'm not hungry in an hour, so I don't eat right after a larger meal. But overall, especially while I was losing, I don't think I really consumed any meal over 300 to 400 calories. I don't think I consumed more than that in one sitting ever. And that would maybe be my lunch and dinner, which would be slightly larger, and then everything in between was like 50 to 200 calorie snacks all throughout the day. So I'll give you kind of that like little, I don't know, framework or concept. And then I always emphasize, and I still believe that if I give you all of my food journals and you follow them to the T, you won't be successful because you can't, I don't know, I think following, this is again my own opinion, but following a diet that says eat this at this time, eat this at this time, eat this at this time, in my opinion will always backfire. It's just hard to be that structured. And I think you have to, for it to be successful long term, I think you have to make it work with your likes and your dislikes and your lifestyle and you know, how your workday is structured, or whether or not you have access to microwaves or no microwaves, or whether you can cook or not cook, or if you have something has to be refrigerated or not refrigerated. There's so many variables, so you have to find out what works for you. As for preparing my meals for busy weeks, and I do talk about this a lot too, I am not that much of a meal planner. I'm more of a stocked pantry reactor. That makes sense. So I buy things when they're on sale. I stock my freezer with a varying arrays of different lean meats and fish. You know, if chicken tenders are on sale that month, I buy a huge bag of chicken tenders. If I go to Aldi's, I'll stock up on tilapia fillets. If lean ground beef is on sale, I'll buy 2 and then separate it into little pound patty packs or something like that. And so I then throughout the week react on a day-to-day basis and go, okay, I have ground beef and hamburger buns, and I bought sugar shop peas. Let's make burgers on the grill tonight. And I just kind of react versus pre-plan. But again, that works for me, and it may not work for you. I know a lot of other people that need to plan their meals throughout the week, and on over the weekend they even maybe cook ahead, and they say Monday we're having X, Tuesday we're having Y, and they have it all figured out. But that always backfires for me. So again, you have to find what works for you in your particular situation. I generally cook on the fly in a way, and I kind of like it that way. And I plan to the point where I loosely know what I have available, so I know what I can cook. Wendy, I feel like I didn't answer any of your questions, but you just asked something that allowed me to babble for the last 5 minutes and not actually give anyone any information, which I apologize for. But I urge you to find what works for you instead of looking for a regimented plan. Maybe sit down and really look at what's your schedule like, whether or not you are more of a planner and you can do like a shopping list and know exactly what you're making each week. Maybe you can cook ahead on the weekends. Like today, see, I do these things not regularly depending on what my situation is. Today, I literally just got done. It took me too long, which is why I don't have time to record our whole podcast. I literally made some salmon cakes, like salmon burgers. I had a can of salmon that I picked up at Aldi's because it was really cheap and I wanted to try it. And I whipped together salmon. I made 5 patties. I ate 1 for lunch and I froze the rest. And now I'll have those in the freezer for those lunches or whatever where I was like, oh my God, I'm really hungry. And I was going to grab something out of the freezer, throw it in the microwave, nuke it, put it on an English muffin, and bam, I have a salmon burger for lunch. So again, I stock. I try to keep things handy like that. And I do freeze a lot. So if I make like a big batch of, I don't know, something, my brain is right. I'll freeze the leftovers in little individual packs, and that way I can pull them out for lunch for myself. Especially that helps immensely when you work and you have to go into an office, because I would bring frozen, little mini frozen meals with me to lunch, and it was great because you didn't need a refrigerator. But by the time lunch rolled around, they would be mostly defrosted enough to be able to put in the microwave, and I would have like a home cooked meal for lunch, which is great. Okay, so my alert just popped up that I have an appointment in 10 minutes. We'll see. Hopefully he will be late. Okay, next question is from Jen. Jen says, hi, Ronnie. Sorry, I'm like out of breath. I am a long-time reader since the site was Weight Watching, and I've admired you for so long. Your commitment to a healthy lifestyle is what inspires me most. I have been the overweight girl my whole life. She has the overweight girl in quotes. A few years back, something clicked and I changed my eating habits after joining a gym. My weight dropped and I felt amazing. I maintained my lower body weight for about 3 years until I broke up with my long-term boyfriend last January. Somehow, I have managed to gain everything back. We're talking 30 pounds. It even hurts me to type that. My question is, what advice would you have to give to a girl who has all the information about what she should be eating, already ingrained? I even love healthy foods, yet can't seem to actually get herself to do it. I feel out of control and helpless, and worst of all, I'm beginning to hate myself all over again. Thank you so much for your time and dedication to helping your readers. Oh, thanks, Jen. Jen, I think regardless of why you're in the situation you're in, I think you've described a lot of us. The people who know what they need to do, but yet for some reason don't put it into action. And I think this is really, really common. And I think it's why so many times, people say weight loss is, they'll say it's easy. And it's easy on paper, but it's hard because we get in our own way. And it's a mental game we play with ourselves. And for some reason, we don't feel worthy enough or good enough to treat ourselves properly. This is the way I think about it anymore. I have a post that I wrote probably about 3 years ago now that I will send to you in an email, and I'm going to link it to it under the video. And it's called My Core Hurt Feelings. It's going to make me cry thinking about it again. I'm not but it was an article, or a series of articles actually. It was a series of articles written by the psychologist who talked about core hurt feelings and why people will never lose weight until they get to these feelings. And it sounds all, frilly and wishy-washy and not concrete. But I think for some of us, it really is a mental game, and it's not just as simple as, oh, I'll just eat less and lose weight. It just isn't. It's wrapped up in body image and self-worth and just a lot of baggage that some of us carry around for some reason. So I'm going to link to that. I probably won't do justice trying to summarize it, but for me, in my situation, I found it at a time where I was having a lot of issues that were being stirred up with my dad. And I started overeating again. And again, this was after I lost weight, and I was probably in maintenance for about 3 years, just like yourself. And this particular situation was, I was just overeating and overeating and overeating. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? I know what I want. I know how much better I feel. I know, I know I like eating healthy. I like being healthy. I like being active. Why am I self-sabotaging? And that's when I found this article. And everything was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. So I will link that over, and hopefully that will help some people who may be experiencing this. And frankly, it makes sense that you would be going through this after a breakup. And I think when you read it, you'll realize why I just said that, because it has a lot to do with just not feeling worthy enough for people. And I don't know any of the details of your breakup, but I'm going to generally assume breakups are never really that good. So, Jen, I'm gonna forward your question to a post that I wrote, and I will link to that over. Can you? Yeah, I can read it. Oh, sorry. See, it does. It makes me emotional. It makes me emotional. It really does. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on to Lindsay. Sorry. Okay, Lindsay says. See, also no web address. So you guys aren't bloggers. Lindsay says, "Hi, Ronnie!" Exclamation point. Not too long after I was married, nearly 2.5 years ago, I discovered Greenlight Bites. All right, I cannot believe Greenlight Bites is that old. I was looking, just this complete sidebar, me just chatting. I keep every year in January, I create a new folder for all of that year's photos that I'm going to be posting on Greenlight Bites. So that way, like I've learned, like I have so many photos, I can't organize them. So I do it by year, and at least it's a little bit more manageable. And I'm on my 5th folder, and I was like, wow, I can't believe Greenlight Bites is that old. Anyway, sorry. I had never cooked much before, and seeing all the photos and step-by-step instructions gave me the confidence to start cooking healthy meals for me and my husband. Oh my gosh, you have no idea how happy that makes me. It's just so excited. It makes all of, I don't know, everything that I do just worth it. Like, it's just so fun to hear. Okay, anyway, Lindsay goes on and says, I do not struggle with weight and love to exercise. I'm a Pilates instructor and eat healthfully. However, my mom has struggled with her weight for many years. She's such a wonderful person, but I know it plays on her self-esteem. She has successfully lost weight in the past on Weight Watchers, but she eventually gained it all back. Do you have any advice on how I can be supportive but not naggy as she tries again to make changes for a healthier lifestyle? Thanks for everything you do, Lindsay. Okay, Lindsay. This question is so difficult, I think, because I a lot of times, like I think last week or last month, because I only do these monthly now, I answered a question from the other perspective, which was a family member or a person who felt like she was being pressured from family members to lose weight. And this is like the reciprocal of that. It's the opposite. And I love that you are very aware that you can come across as naggy if you're kind of wanting to change someone who may not be necessarily ready to change. And I can relate to this because, as you guys know, I have a husband who has some bad habits that we've been working on, or he's been working on, or I hope he's been working on for quite some time. And it's kind of emotional for me. I think I've played every role, and we actually just had this conversation. I've been the supportive one, like, we can do this, like the cheerleader, like, yes, you can get over this, you can stop, you can quit, it'll be great. I've been the nonchalant one, like, you know, you have to do what you want to do, and hopefully you'll want to quit, and it won't be that big of a deal, and, you know, you're an adult, do what you need to do. I've been the bitchy one, I've been the you better quit, I don't want it around my house, I want it, you know what I mean? I've been I've been angry about it, I've been sad about it, I've been just every role I can possibly play. And what I have learned is that it doesn't matter. Like, that person, he needs to want to make the change for himself. And if he doesn't, it won't work anyway. And so it's very, very similar. I'm pretty sure you guys all know what I'm talking about. To weight loss. Maybe you don't. He smokes. I don't know what, but but it is. I think quitting smoking sometimes is really similar to people wanting to lose weight, because for some people there's a physical addiction, for some people there's a mental addiction, there's habits involved, there's just so many layers of variables of things that go in to why you are doing this particular action, even though you might not logically want to do it. And I think for people who need to lose weight, that's a very similar situation. So here's my advice. I really truly believe the only thing you can do is live by example, and then that other person needs to make the choice by themselves. So be as supportive as possible. Offer up, maybe mom-daughter walks or activities that are physical in nature, or maybe bring over healthy foods, or, I mean, there's like very fine line where you don't want to be overt about it, but you want to enable in a good way instead of enabling in a bad way. Like, I know sometimes I think we enable the people we love and we continuously support their bad habits because it feels good and it's a way to show love because it's something that they appreciate even though it's not good for them. I don't know if that made any sense. It did make sense in my head. I'm not sure it translated out well. However, I think enabling them positively to make positive changes is a much better way to show love. So, be supportive. If you want to sit down and have a talk with her and just let her know your feelings about it, that depending on your relationship, that could possibly work, but it could also backfire because then she can feel like, insecure and hurt, like you said, it can kind of bruise her ego and hurt her self-esteem. So, she has to kind of realize it. And I think just being there for her when she wants to make the changes for herself is the best thing that you could do. It's such a hard question when people in your life don't treat themselves the healthiest way possible. Like it's kind of frustrating, but at the same time, they have to make a decision for themselves. So, Lindsay, I don't know if I've helped you at all. I think I'm getting worse at answering questions, not better. But again, be supportive, enable her in a good way, and, just offer to do healthy things together. And maybe she'll start to feel better about herself and you can push the first domino for her. Do you know what I mean? Okay, I'm going to move on. Now, by the way, my appointment is right now. The smart Ronnie would shut off the computer and wait for the doorbell to ring. The not-so-smart Ronnie will continue and then be interrupted and then have to figure out how to edit the video and podcast later. Which I won't. I'll just leave everything in there anyway. All right, I'm going to try to get one more in. We'll see if we get interrupted. Okay. Next question is from Melissa. Melissa says, all right, hey, Ronnie, what a motivation you are. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, I just had baby number 4 months ago. And I would say what a motivation you are. I could not imagine having more than 2 kids. I couldn't imagine having more than 1. So anyway. All right, so she just had a baby 4 months ago, and I am beyond ready to get my body back. Work from home part-time, 2. Okay, roughly I have 15 pounds to shed. I have an old bootleg version of Weight Watchers that a friend gave me. It is the old version. So time is not on my side, and I'm curious if I can do this on my own or if I need the actual Weight Watcher meetings. Again, time not on my side. But I sure like the accountability side of things. So my question is, where do I start? Even looking at some of your meal ideas, they require lots of ingredients. Is there a basic intro to all of this somewhere? Like those people just starting, like me, who detail what they are eating. I am also a huge snacker, so I'm looking for as much support as possible. Any information would be great. You are motivation. I need to stop using my kids as my excuse and living for me. Okay. All right, here's what I have to say, Melissa. How do I say this? Yeah, I don't have one. I don't think there's just one paragraph or book or post or article where you're just going to get everything you need to do to get started. And I think that mentality of I don't have what I need right now to get started, or I don't have the knowledge, or I don't know how to start. Sometimes, and this is going to sound really mean, very Jillian Michael-esque. You're making an excuse. You don't need this kind of like nugget of information that as soon as you have this, I'm ready to start. Do you know what I mean? Don't need that. And I'm kind of doing my own version of tough love, even though I'm not very tough. To say you have everything that you need, and you will be better off, kind of like what I answered earlier, making your own and figuring out things on your own as you go. My advice would be, if you can afford it, and I mean monetarily wise, not time wise, if you can afford it monetarily wise, I would possibly consider joining Weight Watchers and doing a meeting. I think, or even if it's another group, I think having an hour of a week, and I know time's not on your side, but you can carve out an hour a week. I don't like to tell people that they can because I know everyone has a different situation. But an hour a week, even if you have to bring a little one, try. See if you can. And if you can't get an hour of the week, or even half hour of the week out of the house, then maybe devote a half hour in the house on the computer, reading up blogs, maybe starting your own blog on Blog to Lose, maybe, journaling in a journal, but just kind of, I think having the accountability where you do one thing for you a week that's going to keep you towards this goal would be invaluable. So again, if you don't have the time or the money, if those two resources aren't on your side, then maybe commit, I don't know, whatever works for your schedule. But let's say Wednesdays, noon, baby's napping, you get on the scale, you have a journal or a blog or whatever, written journal, you email yourself. It doesn't matter. But you say, for this half hour from 12 to 12:30, I'm going to weigh in. I'm going to talk, write a little bit about how my week went, analyze some thoughts, my reaction to the scale, how did I do this week? How did I eat? How did I feel? Just kind of some soul searching and self-analysis, like your own thing. I mean, really, that's what I got out of Weight Watchers. It was I made the time. I made it important. I was accountable. I weighed in. And then I came home and I blogged about it. And I kind of shared. I shared outward. You don't have to do that if you feel uncomfortable. But I don't know. It kept it on the surface for me. It kept it something I was working towards instead of this something in the background that, I'll do that when I have time or when I find how to, that list of foods I should be eating or when the kids get older, you know what I mean? It's no, I'm doing this and I'm doing it now. And this is how I'm doing it. I'm committing to this Wednesdays at noon weigh-in with myself. Or maybe you could do it with your husband or a friend. Maybe you can carve out an hour walk with a friend once a week where you're pushing the strollers around the mall or to the park or something like that. And you guys talk about how, you weigh in together and you come, with your weigh-ins and I think the point is having, again, something that you're committed to outside of the realm of weight loss, but the weight loss is the fibers that are keeping it together, if that makes sense, or the reason why you're doing it. But it's, again, I'm sometimes I garble my words and I'm not saying what I want to be saying. So let me start over. Totally lost my train of thought because I thought I heard a car door sound. Commit to something. And as for too much food, too much ingredients, and being a snacker, I would say, again, you will best serve yourself by, taking some time in your grocery store, finding substitutes for the things that you want to snack on with something a little bit healthier. Maybe with the kids, try a new fruit or a vegetable once a week. Start to own the food. And you will create kind of the recipes and the food and what works for you in your situation and your family. If my recipes have too many ingredients, then make up your own. Or find some convenience items that might work for you. Or I can't imagine cooking for a family of 6. I cook so small and just for us. I'm actually having a hard time even just introducing in a 1-year-old into my world and realize, there's been times where I've cooked this past week where I was I don't think I made enough food. I mean, and you would think just feeding one little extra mouth, he's so little, he barely eats anything. But it's thrown off my whole mojo of, I could just feed us on, a pound of meat or whatever, half. I mean, sometimes literally I would have 4 ounces of ground turkey and I would feed us on that as a basis of a meal because I would add beans, make it into taco night, whatever. And now I'm that's not enough. I need to bulk it up. But my situation has changed, and your situation is going to be different from my situation. So I think you have to own it and figure out what works for you in your situation. And if you can, try to make a little bit of a commitment to something once a week. It could be a Weight Watchers meeting, it could be anything, meeting with a friend, weighing with the husband. And that will kind of help you get the ball rolling. But commit to something that is just for you, outside of the realm of the kids. And, try to include them as much as possible and those kinds of things. I think having my son be such a part of everything that I do really helped me in the beginning. Because I think if I try to do it outside, where it's my thing, and I eat something separate than everybody else and all that, I think it wouldn't have worked. But instead, I was like, we are going to eat healthier, and we are going to try butternut squash, and we are, you know what I mean? So it was more of an us. We are experiencing this together, and it's helping mommy reach her goals, but we are all healthier for it. So maybe kind of adopt that mentality too. Okay. I hope that helps a little bit. I'm going to keep going, and then hopefully maybe I'll forget we had a meeting. And I'll have one less thing to do today. That would be kind of nice. Okay, next question is from Anonymous. I have no name, which is possible, by the way. I shouldn't tell you guys that, but I purposely left the form where you can submit questions to me open, where you don't actually have to put a name and an email address and a web address. So, because I think everyone has their own comfort levels. So this one we will say is from Anonymous. And Anonymous says, love your post, especially today when you talked about your aha moment, which I wrote a few months back. Actually, rereading it, sometimes I have to reread that one myself because it gets me all gung-ho again. I will link to that one under the video if you guys haven't seen it. Luckily for me, I have 10 pound or less of weight to lose. I have 10 pounds or less of weight to lose. And I like to exercise. What I struggle with, there's the doorbell. All right, I'll pick up this right after he leaves. I'm back. Sorry, I stepped away for about an hour or 45 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna pick up right where I left off. So for where were we with Anonymous's email? Luckily for me, I only had 10 pounds or less of weight to lose, and I like to exercise. What I struggle with is how do you learn to love yourself? Food seems to be my downfall or trigger. I know how to eat healthy, but I feel out of control sometimes or not in control all of the time the way I want to be, and I feel like I should love myself more, but I don't know how to do that. Your thoughts? Okay. Anonymous. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's so funny because just the other day, to be honest, I was eating something that I guess I've been trained, or I don't know, I've convinced myself I'm not supposed to eat certain things. I'll just tell you what it was. For me, it was cheese, okay? I have a history with cheese. I honestly, I have no cheese off switch, okay? If I get a block of cheese, like, you know, like a block of Munster cheese or Monterey Jack or something, when I was a teenager, honestly, I'm not exaggerating, I could take that block of cheese and a knife and like a box of crackers, probably Ritz or something like that, and some pepperoni. And literally while I was watching TV, I would take my knife to the cheese, cut a slice off, take a slice of pepperoni, put it on a cracker and eat it. And just literally construct these cheese and crackers while I was watching TV, to where there was a point where like only this much cheese was left in the block. Like the block was like this, and now, you know, the block was 5 inches. Now there's only an inch of cheese left. And then I would literally have this battle in my mind where I would go, well, I already ate that much. I might as well just finish it. Should I just finish it? Oh, I can't just put that left little. I might as well. I already won. And like this little conversation would happen in my head. And I would end up just eating it. Like, I would eat a whole block of cheese. So anyway, that's a little bit of, like, Ronnie cheese history. And then when I was losing, I stopped buying cheese. And then I discovered Laughing Cow, which was huge because it was, like, pre-portioned cheese. So for some reason, opening up a new small package, like a round of cheese, just seemed like that was like all I needed to help me portion control. It's kind of stupid, I realize, but it does help for some reason. But I stopped buying American cheese because literally I think I would consume 400 to 500 calories of cheese in slice form before I made my sandwich, when I used to make sandwiches like that. So I stopped buying American cheese. I would only buy like pre-sliced Munster cheese, very, very thin. So I would have something like to put on husband's burgers and things like that. And then I started using like the spreadable laughing wedges for stuff. All right. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at is I've controlled my cheese. Like I've figured out a way to kind of control my cheese craziness. So I can still have cheese and not be insane. All right. So where I'm getting at is I bought a pound of white American sliced cheese. I have not bought a pound of white American sliced cheese in literally 7 years, at least. Probably since I started Weight Watchers. Because it was a trigger for me. And because I didn't realize that we didn't need it, and I started, like, again, having pre-portioned cheese or using spreadable cheese and things like that. But I bought it because, particularly for Easter, and my niece was going to be in, and she eats a lot of like cheese sandwiches and like quesadillas that use that kind of cheese, and like I don't know, for some reason I just bought the cheese. Well, Easter's over and no one ate the cheese, so now the cheese is in my fridge calling my name. So the other day I put some cheese on burgers. We made burgers for dinner, and I used that cheese to melt on the cheeseburgers for the husband and the little guy. And I literally had this conversation with myself. Well, I can just have one slice of that cheese, can't I? If I give myself permission to have the cheese, then it's not that big of a deal, is it? And I like literally was very conscious of this conversation happening in my brain, and then I finally said, if I want the damn cheese, I'm going to eat the cheese. It was like this, like, and then I really realized, I started to realize, and I've had this revelation before, is that we make the things off limits, and then we give them the power instead of us having the power. If you want a slice of cheese, eat a slice of cheese and don't make a big deal about it. It's not that big of an issue. But when you make it into an issue, then it I don't know, it becomes bigger than what it is, and then it has the power, and then you don't. My baby's up and playing in his crib. I'm sorry, I can hear him. I have to go get him. So the point is, don't give the power to the cheese or whatever it is that you're triggered to. Really seriously have a conversation with yourself and say, you know what? I want X, and I'm going to allow myself to have X. I don't need to have a pound of X. I don't need to eat X until it's finished. I can have X again one day. It's not like this is my last hurrah with X, whatever your trigger might be. So, Anonymous, that's one part of your question, which is, don't give the power to your trigger foods, and just don't give them the power. I don't know how else to say that without it sounding kind of corny. I won't use the word cheesy. But your other part of the question is, I feel like I should love myself more, but I don't know how to do that. Honestly, this is a hard question for me to answer because I feel the same way. And I think learning to love yourself is kind of a lifelong process for some of us. And I think you start to do it by being nice and kind to yourself. I think for some of us, it does start with our relationship with food. So I think by giving yourself permission to have a slice of cheese, and that you aren't being bad, or it's not something that you shouldn't eat, or you're not punishing yourself for it later, or you're not, I think those are the kinds of baby steps that you take to start to love yourself more. I think doing things for yourself, and it could be anything from, like, for me now, fitness has really become things that I do for myself. I wake up early and I go for a run, and I feel great the rest of the day. It's something I do for me. But if you're not there yet, maybe something for yourself is stealing a half an hour with a book and a bath. Maybe it's going to get a massage. Maybe it's hanging out with the girls on a Friday night and going to see a movie. I think sometimes we don't think that we deserve the things that we need or want. And then I think we feel guilty for doing them. And I don't think there should be any guilt in them either. So I think learning to love yourself is a process, and that you just have to start literally taking take action, and to do things specifically just for you, and to not feel guilt about it. And I think that's a big step towards learning to love yourself a little bit more. And there's a whole other host of things that go in there, like stop comparing yourself, and this and that, that I think we're all learning. which I explore all of those things all the time with myself on the blog. It's just a constant, I don't know, like self-discovery. It's like constant self-discovery. Okay, I'm going to move on. I only have one more question that I had slated, and I'm going to answer that, and then I'm going to go hang out with my baby and take a walk because it's a beautiful day. And then my older baby has his first soccer game today, and it's gorgeous out, so I'm really excited about just camping out, watching him play soccer with the 1-year-old watching. It'll be really fun. Okay. All right, last question is from Lee, and I actually was going to answer Lee privately, and then I never did. I never hit send, even though I do this all the time. And the reason why is because it's a really quick question. So Lee says, okay, I'm officially joining Weight Watchers again. Laugh out loud. I'm going to do Weight Watchers online. I've gained back 24 pounds I lost, and it's time to do this. Which bathroom scale do you use, or which one do you like? There are so many to choose from. Thanks. Okay. Lee, I can't answer this question without saying you don't specifically need a new bathroom scale to get started. But you know that, right? You know that. Kind of like the other question about like, where's your post that tells me exactly what I need to do? No, you don't need that. You don't need that. Baby steps. So I'm hoping that you are in the full swings of your program and you're making progress forward despite having a new scale. That being said, I use a scale from a company called Eat Smart. I actually have 2 of their scales, but the one that I use, the one that I take the picture of, the glowing one, they have it available on Amazon. I will link to it below my post. I really do like this scale. It's thin, it's sleek, it's sharp, it looks good in my bathroom. It weighs me. I mean, I don't know what else you need from a scale. I mean, it does what it does. Sometimes I don't think the scale matters as much as the fact that you use the same scale every time, and so that's the scale I've been using now. I had an old scale that I used to use all the time, and then I replaced it with that scale when they gave one to me at FitBlogging. They have been at the last 2 FitBloggings giving away scales, and hopefully they will be able to join us again this year because it's a fun group. It's kind of like a father-son owned company, so I like that it's it's kind of a small company, and they've been interacting with me in my blogs probably for a good 5 years. It's kind of funny, 3 or 4 years maybe. Anyway, I will link to them. Again, they're called Eat Smart, and they have a food scale that I think, which is why they're called Eat Smart, where it weighs and tells you calories. I'm not sure if that product is still available, but they have since adopted other products, including bathroom scales, and I will link to it. So I feel awkward and weird leaving on a question that's so black and white. What kind of scale to use? This is the kind of scale I use. But that being said, that's how I'm ending. I'm going to go get him. I have the best baby in the world. Let me tell you. Honestly, it's a little bit of a mom brag. I'm just going to mom brag. After he wakes him from nap, you can hear him. Like I don't even bring the video monitor down with me anymore. He's getting to around, I don't know, the same thing happened to me when Ryan was 1. After about a year, I stopped using the monitor because you know their patterns and their cycles and you can hear them. So I can hear him right now. He's playing in his crib and he's turning on his mobile. He's literally his room is right above me, which is kind of cool. But he will play and entertain himself in his crib. And there's been times where I'll sneak into the room. I know he's awake. I can hear him playing. And I'll open the door really slowly and I'll crawl in. And I'll just watch him through the crib, openings. And then he'll catch a glimpse of me. And he'll get this huge smile on his face. And he'll pull himself up. And he'll look over the thing. And oh my gosh. Literally my heart melts every time I do it. But he's just so... I have the happiest... It'll make me cry thinking about the fact that I have literally the happiest baby on the planet. He's just so content and happy. And it's just... It's nice. And I can't help but think it's because his mom, me, I'm getting contenter and happier as I get older. And I think, I try to project that. And I mean, I'm hoping... I can't take credit for his happiness, I guess. But... he's just a happy kid. Every time we just went shopping today, this morning, and we were in Walmart, and I had to get toilet paper and paper towels and all the house stuff I had to stock up on. And literally, he's in the carriage, and we're walking around this, and every single person that passes us, he squirts them a smile, and then they go, "Oh, what a happy baby!" he's like a magnet for people. He's just so. It'll be really interesting to see him grow up and be all charismatic. And I wonder if that's how he'll grow up. That's kind of how I'm envisioning it. Or the husband and I joke that he'll end up growing up and be all like depressed teenager, and we'll have to be telling him stories about how happy he was when he was a baby, and now like, oh, the world's gonna end, I hate my life and my parents. And we're gonna be like, what happened to our little happy bundle of joy? But anyway. Alright, now I'm seriously babbling to you. Hopefully next week I'll be able to babble like this live. That would be really awesome. And actually interact instead of talking to myself like a crazy woman. Okay, so I'm going to go. Thanks for watching April's podcast, and hopefully we'll have some fun announcements for May's podcast coming in a few weeks on the site. So keep an eye out for that, and I will see you next month. Bye, guys. Thought I would peek in and just give you a little sneak peek of everything. Really? You can talk? What do you want to touch? What do you see? Oh, the pictures. Everybody loves trees, right? Where's the trees? Are they outside? You like to touch the trees? And Kitty, where's Kitty? Yeah? Yeah? I love you.